Here is part 2, where I show a star field being created and some examples and a snowstorm as well. I'll end off with that. I change the X, I scale in the X to fill the window. I can change the star density, the star diameter, the noise, texture. I can go to 4D instead of 3D. This can help to make it more random looking. I can render it out. I render, and then compositing is possible, and I use that to put some glare to the stars. There is a filter called glare. I set the threshold very low, and from streaks I choose a simple star, and that makes the glare more realistic. Then hook up to compositing and save out as a PNG. I can set the background color and I can have the background be transparent as well if I want to, but I don't. So in this example, I make the blue background as dark as I can, a darker blue, and some grass is in the foreground. So I want some stars in the dark blue sky. So I do append, and I go to the collection, and I append the starfield collection. It's selected, so I do a move to put it in the middle of the camera view. That's GX. The keys are GX. But the stars have to be behind the grass. So I do a top view. The key is 7 for top view. And I find the camera. I want the stars to be behind the grass. The keys are G, Y. I move the stars behind the grass. Now I go back to the camera view. In geometry nodes, and in properties, I can make various settings now. The starfield height. I now change the scaling in the X to fill it out. But I notice that there are columns of stars. So I change the rotation by a couple of degrees, and that helps to make the values more random. At least they look random. And by changing the W in the noise texture, that helps as well. I render it out. And in compositing, I put some glare. But here is a problem with compositing. It's better to do masking. Because the compositing affects the entire image, including the grass. So for better compositing, you should study masking and how masking is done in Blender. I make the threshold as small as possible, then add a bit to it to get the star effect. I want to limit the effect on the grass. So there's an example. Here's another example where I use a gradient. I have an image with a gradient in it, a blue gradient. And I plug it into the surface so there won't be any shadows on it. Gamma can make it as dark as I possibly can. I set the gamma to 10, and then I change the RGB curve Add a bit more blue to it. But I want the white part to be at the bottom. Now going to the geometry nodes, I set the positions of the stars. I scale in the X and I slightly rotate it. And make some more settings. I change the camera position. I render it out, and there's a blue gradient. And I put some glare in it. The threshold is low to get the simple star effect. And now another example to make a snowstorm. Stars look like a flake of snow, so I animate snow falling. I duplicate the geometry and I use a join geometry to join them up. So in effect I have two groups of stars that I am joining up, but they both lie on top of each other. So I use the transform node. So one group won't lie on the other group. I change the Z value, make it higher, so I get a nice random look. So now I see the two groups, one on top of each other. I can make further groups if I wish to. Now I'll make an animation showing the snow falling downwards. I start with frame 1. The I key sets the location initially, then I go to the last frame and set the snowflakes lower and press the I key again. Now I check to see if it looks like a snowstorm. There is a file available to download.